What's going on, everyone? Happy Sunday to everyone. Hopefully, everyone is having a great weekend so far. Hopefully, you're enjoying the weather where you are if you're having nice weather. For many people, it's either hot or stormy. In the south, things are relatively quiet here on the satellite picture, but we do have some showers to concern ourselves with in Florida, even some thunderstorms. You can see there has been a bubbling up across central Florida and on the Florida panhandle. In the west coast, while it may look quiet on the satellite picture, it is downright hot from California through Texas and across the Great Lakes. We have these two systems, which are now merging into one system. And oh, what an interesting setup that is going to be for tomorrow because of that. Ahead of it, you have a strong southwest flow. You're going to have warm, moist air with dew points going into the 70s. And because of that, with this strong area of low pressure that is now developing, it's merging into one, there is a big severe weather threat for tomorrow across the mid-Atlantic and even portions of the southeast generally from Georgia all the way up through Pennsylvania and into New York State. So this is something big that we're watching for tomorrow. If you're up in the northern Rockies, there are still some showers and thunderstorms today, and I can show you that there is a small flood threat up there today. There's also a flood threat in portions of Illinois, eastern Iowa, and northeast Missouri. Taking a look in the south, you can see very hot conditions. Excessive heat warnings and advisories continue. And if we zoom in here to the Washington, D.C., Baltimore area, there is a flood watch that is up for tomorrow's risk of flash flooding and severe weather. Remember a week ago we were talking about how the European was showing potential for severe weather, and then throughout the week we kind of shifted more towards the flash flooding. Well, this is turning into be a multi-type mode storm event where not only are you going to have severe weather, but you could also have a flash flood risk, hence why they just put up the flood watches for Washington and Baltimore area. You can see there is a warm front here on radar just ahead of the two systems, and that warm front is going to lift northeast. How far northeast that gets is going to be key to who sees what tomorrow. You can see there's some showers ongoing in Florida, even a few thunderstorms, nothing severe at the moment. And then you can see there's just a general area of showers and even rain in the Midwest right now that's going to push across the Great Lakes with this area of low pressure. And you can see up in Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, even Washington and Northeast Oregon, showers and rain are ongoing this afternoon. Taking a look at the air quality, I do have some good news to share with you in the air quality department, and that is it is a little bit better in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic today. Not 100% better, but just a little bit better. And it's not terrible in the South either, where all the heat is. So that is some good news as well. All right, let's take a look at the Storm Prediction Center. There is a slight risk today for portions of Georgia, portions of Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, portions of Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, and even eastern Missouri and Arkansas. With that, there is a small tornado threat today. In Illinois is where the biggest tornado threat is. There is a wind threat, and there is a hail threat. The hail threat is hatched. Now, drum roll, please. I have to show you this. There is a huge enhanced risk area for tomorrow that extends from portions of Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, straight on up into Pennsylvania. More than 41 million, almost 42 million people are under an enhanced risk tomorrow. When you're talking about an enhanced risk in the mid-Atlantic, it's starting to get a little bit more serious because you're in an area that doesn't see as strong of storms as, say, the Plains, the Great Lakes, or the Ohio Valley. And let's take a look at some of the risk factors here. 5% tornado already here on Sunday afternoon for an event that's tomorrow. That's concerning. Wind. Check this out. 45% wind area from Baltimore and D.C. You don't see that too often, especially on a day 2 outlook. So that is super concerning. And remember, the SPC redid the categories years ago, and it used to be slight and then it would go to moderate. Back in the day, this would qualify as a moderate risk. So this is getting serious, and the fact they did this so early, you have to wonder, could they upgrade to a moderate risk? It's possible. I'll show you why when we get to the models in a few moments. Taking a look at this, there's 15% area for hail. There is also a severe weather threat tomorrow across portions of Kansas, Nebraska, and Colorado. There could be some small tornado probabilities. Biggest threat there is going to be wind and hail, and there's actually a hatched area for hail. We don't see any hatched areas in the Mid-Atlantic threat yet. I suspect that's going to be added tonight. And if we go to day 3, there is another threat in the plains, a marginal risk for the Boston area, portions of the Northeast, and a marginal risk in the south. Quickly, let's take a look at the WPC. We'll go with day 1 first. You can see here there is a slight risk of excessive rainfall across portions of the Midwest and Pennsylvania, where that warm front's going to lift through from Virginia through Maryland, Pennsylvania. There could be some heavier cells that, elevated convection that gets going with that. Tomorrow, there's a big slight risk from northern Virginia right on up into portions of New York State, Pennsylvania, Vermont, western Connecticut, western Massachusetts, New Hampshire, again, Vermont, places that just do not need to see this. And there's also a slight risk in the day 3 time frame as well for portions of New England. So that's something we'll have to concern ourselves with as well. Nothing to talk about in the tropics. I mean, take a look at this. You can't get much more quiet than this. Any system you see coming off of Africa, it has to encounter shear, so it's not going to do too well. All right, moving over to the new HRRR model. Just in, I'm actually going to change this region for now. We may go back to the Northeast region. But here is the warm front. You can see it on the HRRR very well. Here's the other area of low pressure. There's 2 areas of low pressure. Watch, you can see it all consolidates into one overnight tonight. The warm front does come across Pennsylvania, and should that move through faster, like the HRRR is showing, look at the HRRR. By tomorrow morning, you're already clearing out in portions of eastern Pennsylvania, portions of Baltimore, Maryland. That's actually not a good thing, and I will show you why. When you clear out, take a look at this energy that sets up here. You can see, look at all this available energy. That just explodes over the Mid-Atlantic tomorrow, switching to the Northeast view. You can see, this is CAPE, which stands for Convective Available Potential Energy. This is the instability in the atmosphere that thunderstorms need to develop. On top of that, you're going to have a shear environment. Remember, we're dealing with an unusually strong low for this time. Maybe by millibar standards, it's not that strong, but the way it's placed, the way the 500 millibar pattern is, it's a fairly decent setup, and this is going to allow for there to be some low-level wind shear just behind the warm front. Therefore, I am concerned. Not only will thunderstorms develop, let's take a look here at the radar here, and you can see here's what simulated radar looks like. Not only do thunderstorms develop, they develop in the clusters, and perhaps maybe the HRRR model showing a QLCS, which stands for Quasi-Linear Convective System. And any of these little hooks you see here, there could be some rotation, there could be a few tornadoes. But remember, this is just one model. There are other models as well. Here's the FV3 model. It's the 12Z run. And you can see the FV3 model is showing multiple clusters, even a few discrete supercells. Should there be a few discrete supercells, then we run ourselves into problems tomorrow, and there would be a tornado threat. And obviously, I think at that point, there would probably be a tornado watch that goes out with even the potential for a few tornado-warned cells. Now, normally, I would show you NATOcast. NATOcast model has not updated, but what I am most concerned about is right in here. I'm going to zoom this in. My biggest area of concern tomorrow is going to be Baltimore, Washington, on up through Lancaster, Pennsylvania, York, southwest of Harrisburg, maybe even portions of Delaware, and just southwest of Philadelphia. You know, the usual suspects that have been getting hit hard over the past few years. You have a very high wind threat. You have an unusually high tornado risk in this area. And there is one other thing that I want to show you. We're going back to the HRRR model. Check this out. Now, I might have to move myself to the left here, and I do. So this is a sounding. It says possible hazard type. Look at that. It's actually saying possible hazard type, tornado, potentially maybe classic supercells. So yes, this is very concerning. Surface CAPE on this, moving myself back to the right, does go over 3,000, which is more than enough energy. And I do want to show one other thing on the HRRR model. Look at the dew points. The dew points actually rise into the mid-70s tomorrow afternoon. 70 to 75 degree dew points. So the moisture's there, the dew points are there, the instability is there, the shear is there. It's just a question, how far northeast will that warm front get? And where will these cells set up? The initial storms that form up, we'll have to watch and see if they have any spin-ups. Should it form into a squall line, QLCS, there could be a few tornado spin-ups along that line. All right, enough about that severe weather threat. Of course, we will have updates on that tomorrow, probably more than one update. We will likely do a short or two tomorrow because this is a serious threat. And some of that threat does extend back down, as you saw. The enhanced risk does go back into Georgia and Atlanta, Alabama as well. I mean, down there, it's more so a wind threat. The tornado threat is confined to the mid-Atlantic. Alrighty, taking a look at the GFS. Let's take a look beyond that threat. And look at this. Even the GFS, it's been showing this for days. It's been showing a high amount of convection in the mid-Atlantic and Pennsylvania. So that is super concerning as well. Moving on with the GFS, you can see here that there are several threats this week across portions of Kentucky. Maybe some flash flooding, maybe some severe weather. And you can see there comes another one late week. I mean, again and again. After this week, we have to watch ourselves. You see this front here? Doesn't move all that much. Here comes another one. We're going to get into this pattern where fronts are going to slow down and stall somewhere on the East Coast, probably just south of the Northeast, probably maybe through Virginia, back across through the Gulf Coast states. We could see a few cases of front stalling, and then down the line, we will eventually see this southwest to northeast pattern that sets up as well, and that could get us into some flash flooding troubles as well. All right, taking a look at the days 1 through 7 precipitation outlooks. Look at this. You can see there is a jackpot across the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania through portions of New Jersey. There's also this big jackpot area that extends from the Midwest on down into Georgia. Some areas could see 2 to 4 inches of rainfall over the next 1 through 7 days with locally higher amounts. Look at the Northeast in general. Very wet there, but you don't see much precipitation in the West Coast, and we do agree with that. And finally, I should mention Florida, just your daily shower and thunderstorm activity each afternoon. Temperature outlook, as you can see here, days 6 through 10, below average in the upper Midwest and Northern Plains, above average in the South and the West through the Northeast. Days 8 through 14, again, the West Coast through the South, through the Northeast, above average. Not as extreme in the Northeast, but again, it's going to actually get a little bit warm because, remember, the average temperature starts to drop a little bit now, so it's going to be slightly above average. A few days will get into the 90s up there. Taking a look at precipitation, above average in the 6 to 10 day from the plains all the way through to the Northeast, and below average in the West, with exceptions to the Bay Area of California. Taking a look here at 8 to 14 days, dry in the West, slightly above average in the East. We'll have to see where that southwest to northeast flow sets up, and if there's any moisture that rides along whatever fronts decide to stall. Alrighty, folks, that does it for today's weather update. Please pay attention to my channel tomorrow, and pay attention to my climate data report Twitter. I'll have the link to that down below. I'm going to have updates all day tomorrow on this potentially dangerous severe weather outbreak that's going to evolve in the mid-Atlantic region. Again, it's worth repeating. Unusually good setup for thunderstorms to evolve tomorrow, and this is going to be a higher than normal risk day. I'll let you know if it gets upgraded to a moderate risk. Think about getting your batteries at the ready. Like if you have a NOAA weather radio, get some batteries in them in case you have tornado warnings or severe thunderstorm warnings tomorrow. That way you are weather aware and prepared. Make sure your cell phones are charged. Make sure you have flashlights ready in case you lose power. Alrighty, folks, I'll see you again tomorrow. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button down below. If you know anyone that needs to see the latest climate or weather information, by all means, share this with your friends. Have a great afternoon, everyone. I'll see you all again tomorrow. Thanks for watching.